I have spent more time reading and preparing for this topic that we're talking about today than I think any other topic that we have discussed in the 2+ years that I've been on this channel. And the reason being, I do believe it's important to believe women who make claims of harassment. The NWSL, and for those of you that don't know, which judging by their audience numbers, I would imagine most of you have no idea what the NWSL is. So for those of you that don't know, the NWSL is the National Women's Soccer League. The league was started back in 2012. It is the third professional soccer league for women in the United States. Now you may be wondering, what happened to the other two? They folded, they shut down, and they shut down because they weren't making any money. I'll be perfectly honest with you. If the women in the NWSL don't get their shit together, this league is going to be shut down as well. And when I say that, I'm not talking about them remaining silent if they have been harassed by a coach or someone in a leadership position or just someone, period. I'm not talking about that. If something like that happens, it should be reported. I'm talking about the constant complaints about equal pay, the lawsuits, the unjustified notion that women in the NWSL deserve to be paid more money. I'm also talking about what took place on Wednesday night across the league. We will get to that in just a second. First, let me dispel this notion that women in the NWSL are underpaid. I did extensive research on this. It took some digging to find the little bit of numbers that I was able to find. Earnings for the NWSL are unknown. I couldn't find them. Maybe you guys can find them. I couldn't do it. I was able to find player salaries. If you visit the NWSL website, there is a hashtag at the top of the page. No more side hustles. They're talking about the majority of players having to work second, maybe even third jobs because they're not being paid enough to play soccer. When you realize the money that these women are being paid, you'll start to understand why. The maximum salary is just over $52,000 per season. That's the top earners. League minimum, $22,000 a year. That is pennies. That is not any money. Salary caps for teams, $650,000. Now with each team allowed a maximum of 22 players on their roster, the average salary in the NWSL is under $30,000 a year, which is $20,000 less than what average workers in the United States make every year. 75% of the league is making $30,000 or less. Now, when you present the numbers like I just did, you can understand why players in the NWSL are pushing for more money. Alex Morgan, one of the biggest stars in the league, she said there is this idea that we should be grateful for what we have and shouldn't raise important questions. Damn right, because if they keep pushing and if instances continue to happen like what happened on Wednesday night, the NWSL will cease to exist. This league barely has any life as it is. There is a reason player salaries are below the national average. How do sports leagues make money? How do they make their money? The two biggest money makers, live attendance and broadcasting rights. Now let's start with the broadcasting rights. Turn on your television on any given night, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, I don't care, any night. Try to find an NWSL game. I don't give a damn if you have 1,000 channels. I don't care if you have every channel offered. You're not going to find a game because no network is willing to pay for it. You'll find old episodes of Gunsmoke, Garage Squad on some channel called MT. I even have a channel called Gems. I guess it's a network about gems. Hell, I don't know. Can't find the NWSL though. Why? There's not any interest. No one cares. If I had to guess, the league has never made a profit. The WNBA has a lot of national exposure. They've never made a profit. So I cannot imagine women's soccer is making any money. Now let's get to live attendance. I had to go back to 2019 for these numbers since everyone was afraid of the COVID last year. Average attendance at an NWSL game is 6,000, but even that figure is very deceiving. One club, the Portland Thorns, account for 1/3 of the league's attendance numbers. So the rest of the league, they average 4,000, 4,500 a game. Average ticket sells for around $20. Now let's do the math here. That's about $90,000 they make every game, 12 home games a year. The typical NWSL team makes under $2 million every year off of ticket sales. Player salaries eat up a large chunk of that revenue. Now, team owners, they still have bills to pay: power, water, trainers, medical staff, coaches, insurance, front office staff. In short, NWSL teams, they're not making any money. The damn players make more money than the owners do. So yes, Alex Morgan, you should be grateful right now for what you have. Which leads me to what happened across the NWSL on Wednesday night. I don't know how much more proof is needed for these athletes to understand this point. Fans don't watch or attend sporting events to witness protesting. I don't care if you're protesting for social justice. I don't care if you're protesting in support of Donald Trump, which never happens. I don't care if you're protesting for a good cause. People don't want to see it at sporting events. The Athletic released a story last week that sent shockwaves across the NWSL. The report gave the league more mainstream attention than they've received in their 8-9-year existence. It was about sexual coercion from North Carolina coach Paul Riley. It's an extremely long article. It took me 10-15 minutes to get through it. And there are some credible allegations, but one of them caught my attention. Sinead Farrelly played for Paul Riley for 3 years. She became close with her coach. They would go out drinking together. She admits to sharing deep personal information with him. She claims one night after a game, on the team van, that she had to sit on Paul Riley's lap and he grabbed her hips. The next part, this is what really caught my attention. She said the next thing she knew, they were in front of his hotel room. She admits to entering his room on her own volition. She admits spending the night in his room. She admits to having sex with him. Now, I'm just going to leave it there. You guys determine for yourselves what you think about that. But the reason I mention it is because the allegations against Paul Riley caused league-wide protests throughout the NWSL on Wednesday night. But this wasn't your typical protest, the typical protest that we've become accustomed to seeing at sporting events. They didn't kneel for the national anthem. They didn't link arms in solidarity pregame. Hell, they didn't even protest before the game, period. There were 3 games across the NWSL on Wednesday night. All 3 games started on time. At the 6-minute mark of each game, players on both teams paused. They stopped playing. They formed a circle midfield and stood there silently for minutes. Game clock rolling, players didn't care. They were reclaiming their place on the field. That's what they said. In a statement released after the games, the players informed the media. They informed the media that they refused to take any game-related questions. The media was only allowed to ask questions pertaining to systemic change. Would something like this, would this be acceptable behavior at your job? If you had sex with your boss, let's say you were even manipulated into doing it, could you walk into the office on Wednesday morning and halt production, get everyone together in the conference room, form a circle, stand there for minutes protesting? Would you be allowed to do that? Players in the NWSL listed 8 demands on their website. One of the demands, players must be consulted when interviewing potential candidates for league commissioner. Oh, really? In what world does that work? You mean to tell me employees are going to hire the boss? These players in the NWSL, they have lost their damn mind. Obviously, they have never taken a class in negotiating. You know the one thing that you have to be able to negotiate? Leverage. You have to have leverage. If you don't have leverage in negotiations, you don't have power. And players in the NWSL, they have no leverage. They have no power. No one watches this league. They can't get television deals because there's no interest. People are not attending games live. The league is hemorrhaging money. All the while, the players are pushing for higher salaries, stopping in the middle of games to protest. And not only are people not attending games, the players are giving the very few people who do attend a reason not to come back. I'll tell you what I think is going to end up happening if players keep this up. Team owners, they are in the NWSL for one reason: make money. Okay, that's not happening. But not only are they not making money, they're having to deal with headache after headache from their own players. At some point, owners will have enough. They'll decide this team is more trouble than they're worth, which right now they're worth nothing because they're not making any money. All it takes is one owner. All it takes is one owner to decide that this is not worth it anymore, and then the dominoes will begin to fall. NWSL players, they won't have to worry at that point about protesting for systemic change or pushing for higher salaries. There will be systemic change, all right. The damn league will cease to exist. There will be no system. This is not the same thing as players in the NBA protesting last summer. NBA protesting last summer went over like a fart in church, but NBA players had something that NWSL players don't have: leverage. If LeBron James or Giannis says, we're not playing tonight, Adam Silver takes notice. If Alex Morgan says we aren't playing tonight, no one cares because no one's watching her to begin with. So keep making noise. Keep saying that you're not going to be grateful for what you have. And look, if the allegations against Paul Riley are true, then players should not remain silent about it. But there are other ways to handle it. Stopping in the middle of a game to protest, that ain't the way to handle it. Because like I've said countless times in this video, you don't have leverage. Not to mention the fact fans don't want to see it. They didn't pay $20 to watch you protest. They paid to watch you play soccer. All right, you guys let me know what you think about NWSL players stopping in the middle of a game to protest and pushing for higher salaries when the league doesn't make any money. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.